Alrighty guys, so welcome back. So today we're gonna be working on Judas. As you can see, it's on the tap. It's been covered there for about a month since I last drove it. So today I'm gonna show it some love. So here always lies the problem of me making videos for you guys. So I've done a bunch of stuff since I recorded that last clip, and I did not record it. The thing about it that I always feel that some of this stuff is too simple, that you guys would not be interested. Little tech stuff, little problems I find even after doing this stuff for a few years, and I never record it. That's a good or bad thing, I'm not sure. But let me show you guys what I just did. So I have a relay right here for my radiator fan. So for those of you who don't know how a relay works, well, before that, let me show you the problems I was experiencing. So my ECU now controls the relay for the fan. So the ECU, based on temperature or whatnot, would turn on the fan at whatever. I think I had it around 85 degrees Celsius. But what would happen sometimes is I just turn the key on and the fan would come on and the car is dead cold. So the reason that happens is because of my relay and how I wired it there. So I'll try to make this really quick, and maybe you guys let me know if you like this sort of tech stuff. So I know better, but in the haste of wiring stuff, we've all been down that road. What I did was, how a relay basically works, it has 4 wires. So it has a coil, and then it has the contact. So the contact is basically just a high current switch. So on the switch, let's just say you want to put 12 volts from your battery to something like maybe a radiator fan. That's all the switch does. So that's one half of the relay. The other half is the coil of the relay. So the coil is basically just a winding of wires, and one end gets 12 volts, one end gets ground. When it gets that power going through the coil, it forms an electromagnetic field which closes the contact, and then now you have a straight shot of battery power to whatever device you want to do. So I had everything wired up correctly except the trigger for the coil. So the ground for the trigger for the coil goes to the ECU. So the ECU is what's ultimately turning on the relay. But the 12 volt I have for the other side of the coil, because one side is 12 volts, the other side is ground. In my case, I wired it straight to battery power. So that can work in some cases. I cannot think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm just trying to be a little bit diplomatic. But in my case, what would happen is that since the relay is, the ECU is sending a ground to trigger the relay, and then I give it constant 12 volts on the other side of the coil would just automatically engage with just my key on. So quick fix for that is what I know I should have done, but I'm not even sure why I did that so long ago, is to just take off the 12 volts from the 12 volt feed to the coil, take it off constant 12 volts and put it, I just run it back to the ECU, and I just use one of the Link's general purpose outputs to supply the 12 volts. So now the only time I had set in the software now, so that the only time the coil gets the 12 volts to energize the switch part of the relay is when the RPM of the ECU goes above 500. So only when the car is running will the ECU actually send the ground, the 12 volts to the coil, and then it will only send the ground when the conditions are met for temperature, 75 degrees. So yes, that's the kind of stuff I always do, and I pretty much rewired it now. I should have taken you guys along for the ride, but for now I was just cleaning it up because this guy is dirty. As you can see, the back seats are moldy. I think I had some water dripping there, so I need to clean that up, and I'm going to take it out for a drive. And the plan for today is to, since I haven't taken the car to the dyno, didn't really work out. I think the dyno operator was out of state for a little while, and now I think he's a little bit busy with some other engagements. So I plan on just taking the car out for a drive, looking at the boost. Currently it's on 7-ish pounds a boost, so I may turn it up on the street, so at least just clean up most of my map. So when I get on the dyno, it will probably just be cleaning it up and playing with ignition, since there's no feedback on the road for me right now. I do have knock control and whatnot, but I prefer doing the ignition on the dyno. Right, you can still do it if knock, you can still do it on the street. My current setup will be knock limited. What I mean by that is the car will probably get to a point where it will start knocking before it actually stops making power. So technically, yes, you can push it till you get some knock and then back it off. You can do it that way if you don't have a dyno at all available, and plenty of cars, Subarus especially, that's the way 99% of folks tune them when they don't have a dyno. But in my case, I'm going to, since I have the dyno, I'm just going to use it. So that is my hopes and my dreams. But now it just started raining, so I don't know if I'll actually get to take it out for the drive. This car does not do well in the wet. So let me finish wrapping up here and I'll probably take it out for a drive in a bit. All right, so moving on to the software side of things. Everyone always loves the tuning stuff. So right there, I have the Link software open, and to the left, I have my fuel table, which is not relevant for today, but we're going to be talking about this. So this is my wastegate duty cycle table. For this car, currently, I'm running open loop control for my boost solenoid. So I have a Mach 3-pot solenoid on the car, and this is the table that's going to be controlling it. So on one axis, the Y axis, we have throttle position, and on the X axis, I have RPM. So basically, what the difference between open loop really quickly is that with open loop, we just commanding a certain duty cycle. So the electronic solenoid's job to increase boost is to just cause a bleed. And in this duty cycle table for open loop, I'm just basically giving it a raw number that I want it to stay open 50% duty cycle, so 50% of the time. And wherever that gets me, that gets me. The ECU doesn't have any feedback from that. All it knows is that I'm telling you to do this. Whatever you do, that's it. That's your business. And the other side to that is closed loop. So the way closed loop works is that you actually set, it's a bit more complicated, but then you actually set a base duty cycle, something similar to this, and then you set PIDs, which is proportional gains and integral and derivatives and whatnot. So basically you set some stuff in the background, and the ECU actually takes what it puts in. The ECU actually monitors what it's actually commanding from the solenoid, and then it's actually monitoring what it's actually getting out. So it's commanding, let's say you have an 8 psi spring, and then you command in 15. So if it's 15 pounds of boost, so if for instance you actually get in 13, what it knows is that it needs to step up its game to get up there. So it's doing a closed loop. So it's giving information, it's monitoring information, then it's processing and sending back data to the solenoid so that it can raise or lower boost. So in my case, I'm going to be just using open loop. So to do this, basically you set the numbers in here. These are just, I just set the duty cycle. So for open loop, typically the Mach solenoids do not operate very well below 15% duty cycle, and typically the operating range is between 15 to about 85% duty cycle. I usually don't go past that. So to start off with, I'm probably just going to go here, anything above 60% throttle, because I don't really want I don't want the boost solenoid. Okay, so I'm getting some difficulty doing this 100. So I don't really want the boost solenoid working when I'm just cruising on the 50% throttle. So in here, I'm just going to set, to start off with, I usually start off very soft and I just go something like 30. So I set this entire table to 30% duty cycle. Hopefully that should bump it up a couple PSI. I log and I monitor what it's doing, and then if it's not getting to where I want it, I increase it or decrease it accordingly. So that's essentially going to be the task that I'm going to be doing today. Maybe 1 or 2 runs down the road just to see how it behaves. Okay, alright, so I did 1 run thus far. Didn't get it on camera as always. So it went up to about 10 pounds. So increased by about 2 psi. So I turned up the duty cycle to 45%, as you can see. And then I'm gonna use my trusty chest cam, and I'm gonna hopefully get that one on camera. we're back out of the hot car. So back in the comfort of my house. So we're gonna be looking at the data, right? Let's see what we have here. So lots of squiggly lines, but we're just gonna be focusing on this top portion of the graph. So this is just about the first time I went wide open throttle with it on that run. And hope you guys can see this, but we can see right here 1500 RPM. See, we making, so we have engine RPM here in green, we have map, manifold pressure, in yellow, and then we have TPS in blue, and then we have gauge pressure, which will actually give you what a boost gauge would show if you were looking at one. So right here, where did I go wide open throttle? Okay, so I crept into the throttle, 20% throttle, we're just making about half a pound of boost. I think I started rolling into it about 30% throttle at 3000 RPM. I'm just making a pound and a half. Right around here. Okay, that's my water pump in the background. So right around here, 4000 RPM. I'm starting to get onto it, and it's 80% throttle roughly. And I'm making 6 pounds of boost by 5000 RPM. I am right around 96% throttle, and I'm making 13 pounds of boost roughly. 13 if I'm not mistaken, yeah, 13 pounds of boost. And as I go up, it begins to taper off at 6000 RPM, drops down to around 11. So still have a bit of work to do, and within that run, for the most part, the AFRs were good. Still haven't really done any tuning per se in that range. So let's just go from here. We'll be looking at AFR down here. So the AFR target is in red, and then the actual AFR is in blue. So right around, let's start around 4600 RPM. Let's go a bit lower, 4000 RPM. So we're making around 6 pounds of boost. My target is 12.4. I'm actually hitting a 12.2 AFR, so not too bad. Then as we go up 5000 RPM, I'm making, oh, that's a huge leap. All right. So we're running a little bit lean here. So around 9 pounds of boost at 4400 RPM. My target is 12.1. I'm actually hitting a 12.7. So it's a little bit lean. Need to add some fuel there. 5000 RPM, making 12.5 pounds of boost. My target is a 12.8. I'm actually 12.0. So a little bit on the lean side as well, but not anything that I would worry about just now. And 5500 RPM, target is a 12.88, and I'm actually an 11.8, sorry, and I'm targeting 11.8, and I'm actually 11.9. So pretty good here. And as the RPMs go up, boost starts to fall off. So at peak RPM, 6000 RPM, 11.6 pounds of boost. I'm targeting 11.8, and I'm hitting 11.5 AFR. So all in all, pretty good. So I'm suspecting to hit the 16 or so pounds, which I want to run in this car. The boost duty is probably going to be somewhere in the 65 to 70% duty cycle range. At least that's my guess for now. So lots of cleanup to do. The good thing about the link is that the link, you have the mixture map right here. Hopefully let's see, click here. All right, so mixture map, which is a pretty good feature in the link. So it basically shows your actual AFR, your target, and then what percentage you are off by. So it gives you an error. So it makes it very easy to fix the fuel map. The timing, I had a lot of time pulled out of the car. I think from my original base map, which was already conservative, I pulled 3 or so degrees just to keep it safe. Since, again, whenever you're going up with boost, it's always wise to pull out some timing from it, and you can always add timing back when you're done if you're fuel. But if it's already over timed and then something fails, which I don't think would have been the case today, because again, the base map was very, very conservative. If something fails, you don't have a second opportunity to pull it, so that because the engine is already damaged. So I always start off conservative, and then I add the timing after that. So I'm probably gonna do another run off camera later this afternoon, but for the most part I'm happy. The car is making around 13 pounds. It feels very strong. I mean, it's not exactly how I would consider it. It's not in a point where I would consider it finished at 13 pounds. Again, it has very little timing in it. I dare say it can take another 6 or so degrees of timing off the top of my head, very easily, to the point where I would start getting concerned with the timing numbers. But it feels healthy, it pulls good. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna leave it there or if I'm gonna turn it up a little bit more. Probably this afternoon I might turn it up to maybe around 60% duty cycle, probably try and get around the 14 PSI range, and then clean up the map, and then probably just finish off the rest on the dyno. But the Link software makes it very easy to clean up, as you guys have seen. So this video probably has a lot of rumbling. I always do that. So I'm gonna cut it off right now. It's been a little while, so just wanted to get something out to you guys, since I actually took Judas out today, and it's been a little while since I actually drove it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm not sure how to end this video. So later, peace.